hey, how are you? Welcome to the Lore Games. How's everybody doing tonight? We're gonna unmute everybody.
I'm sorry for everyone with headphones.
Oh was that the best sound ever?
It's lovely. Just absolutely delightful.
That's just what I want to hear. Todd slurping on something.
That's right. That's right. Not the first time. I mean, wait.
Oh, no.
We're off to a good start.
Well, guys, it's been fun. Bye.
Good night. Welcome to the Lore Games. I'm your host, Todd, 26-year veteran of the comic and animation industries, co-founder of Adult Fantasy, as you guys know, because this is a private event. Everyone here knows exactly what we're about, so I can skip all the formalities. What are we doing? Well, the Lore Games is our platform in development there, where we are working behind the scenes to create the basic foundational milestone events of the Adult Fantasy universe. We invite you guys, because you are our special group, into this. He's like, what is Adult Fantasy? Dick. We are setting the milestones, the kind of the cornerstones to get the entire universe, just some ideas and some pieces together. It is a way for us to experiment, to free our mind, to have a little fun, and like everything that's coming in the Adult Fantasy universe, the way that you grow a universe with storytelling and with the character development is through play. So all of these games actually has a serious purpose in that it is set up for us to utilize, to grow, and to connect the dots to really an incredibly large project. So before we jump into tonight's games, and before we say hello to chat, we're going to say hello to our guests. First, we have Studio 7.62 over here. Avery, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing good. Avery.
How's the beautiful chat?
Chat is always beautiful. Avery is a phenomenal illustrator. He has worked with Heavy Metal Magazine, which is one of my all-time favorites, so that's badass. He's worked with Image Comics. He's worked with White Wolf, a lot of role-playing stuff, RPGs. He is amazing.
Thank you.
Below, bottom square, we've got Zach Arbella. Zach, how you tonight, dude?
I am stellar. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. Zach is a phenomenal writer. He's an author. He's written more than 13 novels, and we're super, super lucky to have him here. He's fantastic, and he's clearly the writer of the group. We say the dumb shit, and he actually writes some cool stuff. And below me, right here, is Flint.
I'm uncomfortable. Hey guys, how's it going?
Right there.
I'm okay.
How you doing, Flint?
This is getting weird.
This is like Adult Fantasy After Hours.
Yeah.
Adult Fantasy Up All Night.
Oh God! I just had the flash of Ron this year.
Right? That's exactly right. Gilbert Gottfried, man. Rest in peace, Gilbert. Flint, you doing good tonight? Yeah.
Doing real good. Yeah. Ready.
Awesome.
Ready to write some stories.
Yeah, dude. Tonight's gonna be fun. We're changing the game, just turning the notch just a little bit. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's go check out chat. J Raw, what's up, brother? How are you? Welcome. Willie D, welcome. What up? He says his name keeps getting longer, and then J Raw says like heinous. Dusty wants to know more about Adult Fantasy because he keeps asking about it. Oh, you guys are
Please explain, me. Todd, in detail.
I know, in detail. Please. Do you have slides? What's up, Hype? Welcome. When Lamborghini. When Moon, sir. Oh my God, Hype. Killing me. Welcome, Hype. How are you? J-Raw, when is the mint? Hey, Wizard's here. Welcome, Wizard.
Hey.
Welcome. Awesome. Glad to have you, man. I think you're gonna I was reading another comment. You're gonna enjoy this. Is this the adult fetish show tonight? It could be.
It is now.
It is now. So here's the deal. Here's how this works.
Bring on the waifus.
I am gonna share.
Oh.
No. So for those who are joining us for the first time, or if you haven't been here in a minute, this is our storyboard. It is based off of a game called Microscope. And we've modified it so that we can create worlds and we can create stories. So the easiest way to think about this is the top row that says periods. Imagine those as episodes. And in each episode going down, you have events, things that happen in that episode. And inside of events, you have scenes. So scenes are descriptive moments of time inside of an event. We are not limiting the length of the season or anything. We're not saying, oh, this is 10 episodes. We're just letting it go and letting our minds wander. So that allows us to edit and delete and cut as much as we want. We last week, we created a leftovers column to really so that Zach could take my brilliant ideas and just chuck them into the trash bin. So I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. No. So this is the groundwork for everything. And just so that everyone's aware, chat, this is interactive. Chat, you are 100% invited and encouraged to pipe in and give ideas. We will include them. This is very open. You can absolutely just be a spectator if you so choose, but you are more than welcome to participate. This is all of us together working on this. So what we've been doing the last couple episodes, really started last episode, is we started to pare stuff down because we did a few rounds where we were coming up with ideas, and you can see it goes pretty deep. There's a lot here. And so it's a lot. So what we wanted to start doing was to kind of pare things down. So we started editing down, we started tweaking, we started modifying. Today, we're doing that again. And what we're going to do this week is something a little more refined, really as a test. This is the first time we're trying it. And so let chaos ensue. Here is what we are going to do. So I'm going to share I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. And I am going to share another screen. We are going to use Dan Harmon's story circle. Dan Harmon is you know what? I can do this. Give me 1 second. Dan is a writer. He wrote Community. He's responsible for Rick and Morty. And he did a really brilliant thing where he created the story circle. There's a lot of these types of things out there, but Dan Harmon's is really simple and gets to the point, and it's really elegant in its simplicity. And so the story structure, I'm just going to go through this just briefly. Basically, there are 8 points into a story, and it doesn't matter whether it's a comic book, whether it's a novel, whether it's a feature film. These are the basic components that every story must have. And it starts at you, which is a character in the zone of comfort. That is their home base. That is their daily life. That is their everyday. 2, need, which is they want something. 3, they go, which is they enter an unfamiliar situation. 4, they search, which is they adapt to it. 5, they find, which is they find what they wanted. 6, they take it, but they have to pay a price, right? This is the villains are coming and winning and all that kind of stuff. 7, they return and they go back to where they started. 8, changed. Okay, now they are now capable of change, right? So this is the whole cycle. And the top half focuses on life, conscious, and order, and the bottom focuses on death, unconscious, and disorder. And there is a change, internal and external as well. So the top half is external and the bottom half is internal. And the way that I can explain that in a very simple way is through Die Hard, which is the external, internal. At the start, he's stubborn and he has a failing, Bruce Willis is stubborn and he has a failing marriage. Then he goes into that alternate world with the terrorist attacks and he's stubborn with a terrorist attack. And then there's a scene, in fact, at the very bottom of the circle, there's a scene where he calls, I don't remember the character's name, but he calls his friend, the cop that he's befriended, and he expresses that he fucked up in his marriage and he wishes he had another chance. And he finally opens up and realizes that he's been a stubborn asshole. And so he crosses that border and becomes not stubborn during a terrorist attack, which empowers him. And then he comes out of that as not stubborn and a failing marriage, meaning that his marriage isn't perfect, but there's a chance that they can have a reconciliation because now he has changed as a person, right? And all of that action that happens follows the story circle. The action follows the story circle while his internal path kind of follows the inside of this. So it's a very simple but elegant. Not necessarily simple to do, but this is sort of where we're thinking about doing. So here is what I propose for this evening's challenge. So what I think we should do, in fact, I'm going to try something here. Let me stop my sharing, and I'm going to bring this over to this screen. What I suggest we do is tonight, let's pick an episode, and let's try to push it through the story circle, and let's just see what happens, right? Meaning beginning, act 1, act 2, act 3, that whole thing, right? And again, the interesting thing about the story circle is that, here we go, because now I can have the story circle pop up when we need it. The interesting thing about the story circle is that the story circle is everywhere. So in really brilliant shows, Breaking Bad, you name it, the story circle is everywhere. There's a story circle across the episodes. So the episodes actually go 1 to 8, and then all of the events inside the episode is its own story circle because there's a beginning and middle and end to the circle inside the story, that episode. And there are story circles for every single character, right? Eisenberg from Breaking Bad, episode 1, he's a school teacher, and they actually did a physical story structure, a story circle change on him. The episode 1 inside of Breaking Bad, he's got a full head of hair and he's clean shaven. And by the end, he's literally bald and he has the goatee. They literally inverted his hair to show that he's a completely different person. So that is an example of an external expression of a story circle, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So going to have some fun. Let's first order of business. Let's go ahead and pick an episode. Is there one episode that you guys feel like focusing on tonight, or at least at first? We'll see how this takes us. What go for it.
Well, we spent a lot of time last week going over the battle world, so maybe from Arrival of the Battle Planet. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can start there, or Blood and Metal, the very first one. Start at the very beginning where it all begins.
I think those are good choices. What Avery, Flint, if we had to pick one, which one would you rather? I guess maybe start at the beginning. Start at the beginning.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
I can't even see that far. I can't even see that far on the game for some reason.
Yeah, scroll to the bottom, and you'll see a second slide bar.
Yeah. No, I have that slide bar all the way over. It just does not go for me. It did this to me last week too.
Mm.
Well, then we'll start with the first episode, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. I don't understand why it's not though. I know it is for you guys. You guys can see it. But
Hype says you get to have the most fun in the cheap seats. You have the most expensive seats. You are VIP. You know that, Hype. You know that. Wizard wants Carl. They threw out the story circle out the window on Jamie Lannister, didn't they?
Sure did.
That's awesome.
Okay, now I can. I had this little open tab. I had to collapse that part, and then I could see this little tab at the bottom. This is open.
The little tab.
The palette thing, yeah.
Yeah. That palette. I have to collapse that, and now I can see it all.
All right. So here's what we'll do. We will run the game just as we normally do. So the way the game is run is very simple. We start with a player, and that player is the lens through which we see everything. So they choose a focus, and as we go through the roster, through the cycle of people, of players, everyone has to stick with that focus. Now tonight it's going to be easy because the focus is one episode. But we can maybe we can play where if someone chooses the focus of an event, then the rest of us have to actually focus on that event and create scenes to kind of fill it out a little bit, right? Or I guess that doesn't make sense. It would be events inside of the episode. So we'll just stick to the episode. So what we will do is we will who did we leave? Do we remember who we left off of in last time? Probably not. I don't remember.
Yeah, no clue.
All right, I'm going to just randomly. I don't think Flint has had a turn to go to be a focus, to be the lens. So
It's been a bit, yeah.
Flint, you are the lens,
Ooh.
and we are going to, focus on blood and metal, and you can guide us. And the goal is to two things. So you can either take what is already here and put it inside of the story structure circle, or create something new within that circle. So the goal is to take the information that we have here and edit it, remove it, or rewrite it or change it so that it starts to flow within that circle of an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 structure.
Yeah. So I guess the first question we need to answer here, because the story circle kind of follows a protagonist. So who's the protagonist here?
Yeah, it says, well, let's see. The first event says the primordial emerges in ancient Sumeria. So it could be the primordial, and we have talked about later on in the game, like later episodes, we have that where the primordial becomes that little girl, right?
Right.
So you could have the primordial, but it starts off as a little girl. So you could maybe, if we ended up keeping that, it could be a bookend, but it's up to you.
Yeah. The thing with the primordial, though, is his arc is kind of across all of our periods, right? So maybe what we need here is like a Sleestack protagonist that's witnessing these events.
Oh, that's cool.
It can be kind of the lens.
I
know
that.
we need a better name than Sleestack, but
it's descriptive. We all know what it is.
Well, we all know what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So maybe, we have this king character. Maybe we follow that king, possibly.
Cool. We could do. What if we did that? What if it was like almost like a misdirection, where the episode was about the king and his rise to power or something? Like you could even have. I mean, in the Act 1, basically it would either be the king as king or the life of the king becoming a king, and then that descent into the other side would be the arrival of the primordial. Right.
Yeah,
everything goes
I
into
think
chaos.
That would make sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. Yeah, so maybe add an event here, and then maybe it's like following the king during a period of prosperity. Like almost like a montage, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Sure.
Montage of events in the I'm just typing that.
So for everybody watching, this is a real-time app. So once Flint hits enter and is done, it'll appear.
Where'd it go? Oh,
or
there
it
it is.
won't. Is it at the bottom?
Oh, yeah, it stuck it all the way at the bottom.
Okay. Do you want to move it? Should I move it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Awesome. Montage of events in the Sleestak King's life from early in the king's reign to the arrival of the primordial.
And we could fill that out with some scenes.
Awesome. And now you, because you are the lens and the focus, you have the opportunity to create a scene inside of that event to fill it out if you so choose.
Okay. Well, how about this? Maybe. Yeah, maybe the scene is the arrival of the primordial. Maybe the primordial falls to Earth. Creates a big like tsunami and stuff. So the king is dealing with that while also trying to find out what caused it. What was the great comet in the sky and all that. Yeah, maybe that.
Awesome. So for people in chat, when you create a scene, it asks you for a question and an answer, and then the scene basically is the asks the question and provides the answer, right? And then Flint will get to determine whether it's a light tone or a dark tone. Meaning,
Right.
is it lighthearted? Is it dark? And and it's just a gut feeling. A lot of times it's kind of like in the middle. You're like, I don't know, but you just pick one, go with your gut, and let it roll. This is giving me some good ideas for the primordial. It's almost this episode for some reason in my head is feeling like a Stranger Things episode.
Yeah.
J-Ra says, make a sound effect of when Primordial's big ass falls in the water and causes a tsunami. Make the splash noise just a tiny poop. Make the splash noise just a tiny poop dropping in the toilet water sound. Then boom, tsunami. LOL. Like a plop. Like this. What would be a poop sound? A plop or a splash or a sploink? FPPPT. Flip.
All right. Here you go. So, what was the nature of the meteorite? Is the question. A meteorite appears in the sky, and the next day, a tidal wave destroys settlements on the coast. The king sends a force to investigate the cause, and they are wiped out. The meteorite was the primordial falling to Earth. He awakens, destroying the forces.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Is that your turn, good sir?
Yes, this is my turn.
We've got some candidates. We've got Plop, we've got Sploink, and we've got Bleep.
They're all very evocative.
I know. These are all
followed by a splash.
These are all great names for coins. We've got the Plop coin, we've got the Sploink coin, and we've got the Bloop coin. That's pretty good. That's when you know you're in crypto. Did you get your Bloop coin?
That should be something you should actually make associated with the
We launched a BAMF. I don't know if you guys know that. If Zach and Avery know this, but we launched a BAMF coin.
Oh, nice.
All right, so it's my turn. I'm at the top of the stack here. So the interesting thing that Flint did is he's got a montage of the events in the king's life. But I think there's a need. And so, we're following the king. And so I think it makes sense that you're like, okay, here's the king, here's the life of the king, here's the zone of comfort of the king, right? And they need something. And so then they travel to the meteorite. Like maybe they see the meteorite fall and they see it. So they go, like physically go to the meteorite. And that's when the chaos, they search for the meteorite, they find the meteorite, they try to take a piece of the meteorite and they get fucked up because the primordial starts destroying them, right?
Yeah.
And I even think it might
That's
be
cool.
interesting. I even think it might, I mean, you can be literal, right? So I even think it might be fun to, if you have this giant meteorite fall to Earth, I don't know, it makes more suspense. It makes more sense to have the suspense of who and what the primordial is, because the way that we've set up the rest of the season, of the other episodes, the primordial is kind of this thing under the ground, right? And you don't really see him till the end, which makes sense. It's like the Thanos, it's like the big Thanos attack, right? So
Right.
I wonder if you have this giant asteroid hitting the Earth, and then, but what appears is like a little girl, right? Almost like again, referencing or you don't even see, maybe you don't even see him, like referencing Stranger Things. Like you don't really see the bad guy until the very end, like the big monster stuff, right? The flower monster or whatever, like that's like last episode, right? And the reason is everything else was like shadows and suggestion, right, for the most part. And that creature caused a lot of damage, right? So and you could even do something like maybe when they go and they find, maybe the finding is kind of like this underworld. What was the name of the flip side? Was that the name of it in Stranger Things?
The Upside Down.
The Upside Down. Like when they find the asteroid, it's like maybe this little girl in this upside down world, and then they just get like, they try to take her and they get fucked up, right?
That's cool.
So I think what I'll do is I will create an event. The event will be the need. So really the event, Flint, I'm going to change yours a little bit if you don't mind. From early in the king's reign, I'm going to say, I think it makes sense that he's, it's early in, like, just call a time period. It's early in the king's reign, right?
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is the next event will be meteorite falls from the sky. Giant, I'll say. Giant meteorite falls from the sky. The young king needs, I'll even use the word, to prove himself to his people. He rallies a party. I don't know what you call that. Rallies a party, a search party, or troops, rallies troops maybe, to go hunt down the oh, okay, how's this? Dry meteor falls from the sky. For afterwards, several nights, a large, booming, earth-shattering howl can be heard, right? Like a monster, like "Rah!" Like just like screaming in the night, right?
So it becomes an enemy to be defeated.
Yeah, or just like, just like time to go hunt, or time to figure out what that is, right?
Right.
The young king needs to prove himself to his people. He rallies the troops to go hunt or investigate and hunt. Like he has to go because maybe he's young enough and he hasn't proven himself. So as a character, he's motivated to go himself, because if he was an experienced king, if he had already been tons of battles, he would just send other people, right?
Right.
All right, so there's the need. It is Avery. You are up, sir. Rallies his banners. Is that the term? I like that term. Like the darkness and fifth
Vassal,
element. Yeah, like the darkness
Vassal.
and fifth element. Exactly.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, Avery. Rally his banners is a good term.
So what does he find when they get there? Like, it's obviously it starts with a crater. You know, there's this massive crater.
Okay, so we're gonna go. We'll go ahead and skip. Go well. Okay, they go and they kind of go to this massive crater. Cool.
Where the meteor fell. And then at the bottom of the crater, have there be like almost like a pinhole, like about the size of a person, where it goes even deeper.
Oh, weird. Okay. At the center of the crater is a person-sized pinhole.
Yeah, like tunnel that goes even deeper than the crater, because they have to get into this sort of upside down area you're talking about.
Yeah, and it would either be something like that or a cave, right?
Yeah, it would be something like that. But it's made by this. It's made by this event, the primordial, in whatever form it is, creates a large crater due to mass and energy, but then it goes even further. You know.
Awesome. So at the center of the crater is a person-sized pinhole or tunnel that goes deeper.
Yeah. And that's where they're hearing the howl from, correct?
Up to you. The howl is coming from there. How about seems to be coming from deep within? Yeah.
Yeah. So they have to go investigate, and that's where it starts out being like, they're investigating this tunnel and going deeper and deeper.
All right.
Things start to not make sense of what a cave should be like.
Sounds great. Perfect. Is that your turn? Would you like to add anything else?
Yeah, that's it. That's good.
Right on. Perfect. Zach, you're up to bat, sir.
All right, so they go into an unfamiliar. An unfamiliar situation.
Yep. The unfamiliar situation right now that Avery came up with is that they go to a massive crater. At the center of the crater is a person-sized pinhole or tunnel that goes deeper. The howl seems to be coming from deep within.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to give the king a name. Actually, no, it's going to be it'll be a scene. Oh, wait a minute. All right. What happens when the king and his warriors go into the crater? When King Gilgamesh
Ooh.
It's ancient Sumerian, so we might as well go with the earliest, superhero. Scene. Gilgamesh and his men go into the crater. They find what to them seems like a chariot of the gods. And if you get that reference, 10 points to you.
I'm old, I get it.
But is in reality a spaceship from... Okay, I'm going to rip off Marvel Comics here. From a universe before... No, actually, no, we don't want to do that. That'll get us sued.
No, go. You can write anything you want here. Just do it. You're good.
A spaceship from the universe that predates our own.
Wizard, thank you so much for coming, man.
See you, bud.
We'll see you next time.
I mean,
sure.
honestly, this guy's supposed to be kind of like our version of Galactus, in a way.
Yeah, he's huge.
All right, with twisted alien geometries, etc.
I'll be right back. I gotta turn the air conditioner on. Be right back.
All right, I'm still writing.
Yeah.
Etc. You follow the howling to a central chamber where they make an astonishing discovery. Answer. They find a teenage boy, an obese teenage boy.
That's good. That's good.
Who wakes up as they approach and demands to be fed. Okay, when a warrior makes a threatening move to him, the man is disintegrated. Created by a blast of zero negative energy. When the king tosses him some food and drink, the boy thanks him and follows him around like a puppy dog. Follows him around like a child with unquestioning loyalty. All right, let me just clean up the spelling on this.
I like this because it also sets up the opportunity for the primordial to have that redemption arc that we kind of came up with.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So yeah, so we now have, so basically the idea is that actually let me edit this a little bit. All right, sorry.
No worries.
So
what happens when Gilgamesh and his warriors go into the crater?
there is a glowing ball of energy that resolves itself into an obese teenage boy. There we go. That's much better. I'm not sure if it's dark or light, but yeah. So that I guess that would be the search adapt to it part of it. In which case, the primordial is now in our world. He's confronted by humans. Basically, I mean, I guess you can see that because he's essentially a creature of pure appetite.
Oh, that's why he would be a kind of a chubby kid.
Yeah, he's basically a creature of pure appetite. So he resolves himself into a fat teenage boy who's wants to eat, but because he doesn't know anything about human beings, he basically blasts the first guy that approaches him. But when the king very friendly gives him some food, this guy gave him food. He's a friend. you like your friends, don't you?
Right. That's
And
pretty cool.
so that's how he would. Well, actually, no. This guy will be a Slee Stack king, right?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't know anything about Slee Stacks, so or lizardmen or whatever we want to call them. We got to find another name for him. So this guy offers him some food. Hey, he's friends. These guys are nice. So all of a sudden, that's how the Slee Stacks, basically gain his trust, because he doesn't know what they truly are. So there it is.
Awesome.
Now I think that would fix point number 4.
I think that's cool. I think that's awesome. Let's welcome Andrew, who just popped in.
Hey.
What's up, Andrew? Welcome.
I've been here for like 20 minutes.
No, you haven't.
I have.
That was the last
18 minutes. 18 minutes.
You have not been there for 18 minutes.
I looked at the clock and it said live 23 minutes and 22 seconds when I joined. It now says 41:15. So hold on just a quick second.
So apparently I did this to him last week too. Like he came
Yeah.
in and I didn't see him and he was there for like 30 minutes and we never let him on.
I
So
sent messages in the private chat and everything.
I apologize.
I said, screw it. I'm tired. I went to bed.
J. Ross says he just joined like 5 minutes ago. On my screen, he just popped in. He's riding me. Andrew's riding me for last week.
That's all right. That's all right. Hold on a second.
Thanks, J. Ross, for being a true friend and a true.
I just realized I had my wrong microphone on, so now you should hear me better.
No, you sound great. So, Andrew, would you like to take a shot at this, or would you like us to go another round so you can kind of get your bearings?
I'm honestly not really sure where you guys are at. I started reading what's on the game board.
Yeah.
And I caught up on like the last 3. I went backwards thinking you guys were moving the other way.
Okay.
And I'm not sure where you're at.
Okay. So really quick. I'll walk you through. We'll just do a brief overview again, and then maybe we'll let the round go another time, and then you'll have your bearings. Basically, we're dialing in to one episode, and we're sculpting the episode Blood and Metal to support the Dan Harmon story structure. So you need go, search, find, take, return, change. A character in a zone of comfort, but they want something. They enter an unfamiliar situation. They adapt. They search and adapt to it. They find what they wanted, but they have to pay a price. They return and they go back to where they started. Change, now capable of change. And so this is the basic core story structure for pretty much everything. And we can go into more detail later about fun and games, and there are other elements that go into a story, of course. But this is a really good starting point to kind of wrap everything up. So we really started at the beginning. You can read from montage of events to what Zach just did, which was what happens when the King Gilgamesh and his warriors go into the crater. So we're just kind of going linear, and then we also have all the other stuff, which I have my gut tells me that we'll come back to, and just kind of add in a different way later.
So is this when does this take place timeline wise compared to the rest of the stories?
This is the very first thing. If this was a season, this is episode 1, beginning of time.
Okay, so none of the heroes are actually in this story then.
No, this is the introduction. It seems like this is the introduction of the primordial.
Okay.
But we don't see right now. We don't see the primordial. We see a small child. So with that said, do you want me to go ahead and take my turn, Drew, and so you go through another round?
No, I got something that could fit in here.
All right, let's do it.
I got something too.
I'm just scanning it real quick.
Right, and so just so you have a little bit more context, Zach's section, which is the scene, and the going to the massive crater, is basically number 4 and number 5. They find the child, and now it's moving into number 6, where they take the child, but there's a price to be paid because the child is actually a primordial. if you choose to go in a linear way.
Okay, who's taken the child?
The King Gilgamesh.
Okay. Can I add a scene, or
Mhm.
can I continue the scene,
Absolutely.
or can I tell you what's on my mind and let you type it up?
Whatever you prefer. You can type it up if you want.
Okay, the king takes the boy, who is the primordial in childlike form, right?
Mhm.
To his queen, who is this huge, buxom, like guardian type figure. Like think, just in my mind, it's like a gorgeous woman, but she's all covered in scales.
Mm.
And the king, takes the child who he thinks is maybe bad. I don't think evil is a good way to describe it, but bad, for her to discipline in him in some fashion. And that's all I'm imagining. It's kind of kinky at the same time, but imagine some high priestess, queen type, scaly creature being responsible for his. Um,
Go for it.
it's just what's coming to mind. My mind's going in a weird direction right
No,
this
go for
second.
it. Pop it in.
Well, that was it. I can't write anything right now. I got a cat on my sitting on.
Oh,
my
you want me to
keyboard,
write
so
this?
that's why I was telling it to you.
Oh,
I didn't want to
Gotcha.
have to go explain why I can't access my keyboard right now because I got a fat ass cat sitting on my keyboard. But
all right. So that seems
the
like an
truth.
event. So
There you go.
It is the king brings the child to his queen and requests what how would you like me to frame this?
Commands her to take care of his punishment, discipline actions, because he thinks he's a bad kid, not evil but bad.
That's interesting.
It's kind of like I've got a scene in my head in which, like, Conan as a child is brought before the king, and he sends him off with this, like, not a slave master, but the guy that's supposed to be responsible for training him, and he puts him through all these horrible things that he has to learn to become, Conan. And just in my mind, that's what I'm thinking. But in the twist in this story is it's a female, and she's covered in scales, and she's ugly, but she's also beautiful at the same time.
Mhm.
And she's responsible for whatever it is that happens to him next.
Makes
Kind of
total
like
sense.
a Granny Goodness if she was a big huge lizard for some reason.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
I this is interesting because for the king, this is really cool because what I imagined is that if the king sees this kid in the middle of this crater and makes the choice to bring the child back, it gives us the opportunity. And I don't know if this is my turn, but I kind of want to add maybe it is. I want to add a scene or it was really a scene in the king's life. It's like what is the struggle of the king, and the answer is that he and his queen are having trouble conceiving, right? The king and queen have a
Sorry, I was agreeing with you, but I was on mute.
oh,
I'm saying, yeah, go with that. That's good. And I realized
Yes.
I'm on mute.
awesome sad / tense discussion about their latest miscarriage.
Do they
Right.
speak languages, or do they just grunt and point and stuff like that?
I in my head, I mean, that's a great question. We haven't actually defined that. I kind of imagine that they are having. I've been envisioning them as medieval in my own head. I don't know if that goes for everybody else.
Maybe they're telepathic.
It could be telepathic. Or about their miscarriage, I'll just say. About a miscarriage. Yeah, about their miscarriage. Right. So setting up a struggle that he and his wife are having trouble bearing children, which of course needs to carry on the lineage of the king, queen, the whole kingdomy thing. That might trigger him to bring the child back, almost like a Moses kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, but he's got to be inducted into their culture, which requires some harsh punishment,
You would
harsh
go with
upbringing.
Moses, wouldn't you?
Wow.
So funny.
See, I was thinking Conan. You're thinking Moses. That's
Well, it's about the
Shows
same.
where-
It's all the same.
shows where our minds
It's
are.
fucking hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah, I do
Hey,
think.
hey.
I mean, there also needs to be. I mean, I guess we can figure it out later, because there are deeper story structures that we can get into in another lore game, to really flesh it out. But there needs to be. So as this kid gets taken, it makes sense. Andrew's point is like there has to be what is the price to be paid? Like at the end of the day, the primordial is not human, and is the antagonist for at least this season. So what is the price that is paid? I think that's what we have to figure out next. Is like, okay, that we can have a montage or have some scenes kind of lighthearted where they're trying to raise the kid or discipline the kid, but at a certain point, maybe it's another jealous kid or something has to happen, where because they took this kid in,
I have an idea.
they have to pay the price. So it's actually Avery's turn. So go for it.
The child is growing, not necessarily aging, growing rapidly, which is part of what causes a problem. Like, hey, he's kind of becoming a threat. You have you have this very young mentality, but over the course of a few months, he's 7 feet, 8 feet tall. He's becoming large, he's starting to get almost Hulk size.
Like Clifford the Red Dog.
Yes, but a world devouring alien.
Interesting. So we are gonna. So we do show. Maybe he's Hulk size, or maybe he gets to thing size.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
He's growing and growing and growing. By the time that they do the bit where they get him drunk and pass him out, he's already pretty big and a threat, even if he doesn't mean to be, because he can, like, if he steps wrong, he crushes a hut.
We could do a classic trope in which during his upbringing, the only person that he respects and obeys is the queen. And maybe after they get him drunk or something, there's something that causes her to be murdered or killed or something like that. And that's what sends him on his ultimate kill everybody, I'm going to take over the planet, is because there's nobody to stop him anymore. Nobody to keep him in control.
Okay, so Avery, that's cool.
So in other words, I just threw out like 4 more scenes, and yeah. All right, I'm done for the night. See y'all later. Bye.
So the king. So say that one more time, Avery. So the child is growing at an abnormal rate. Yeah. Sorry, Avery, are you muted? Avery's muted.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
he's growing at an exponential rate. Like the growth rate's getting faster, and he's getting larger and larger, and it starts to become more and more of a problem. Because when he's that big, he can misstep and crush a hut and kill people. He gets angry and stomps off. It does real damage. A moody teenager slams their door. It knocks over buildings.
Accidentally kills a childhood friend, maybe.
Maybe half the village, something.
Yeah, but in my mind, that wouldn't really upset him. It would be the death of the queen that would really upset him.
Yeah.
Doing
Like
something like
assassin or
accidentally,
something.
yeah, doing something in which he landed on a house and killed a whole bunch of people inside, be like, oops, sorry. But he wouldn't be upset about it. You know? Because those things are meaningless to him.
All right, so that sounds like a good scene. Do you guys? Can we have permission to add a scene to this event where that happens?
Sure.
It all depends on if the check's in the mail.
You were just on fire tonight, sir.
I'm half asleep, to be honest with you.
I know you had a busy day.
It was a long day.
Yeah. So the question. So I like that though. The question is, what happens? What happens when the queen is assassinated?
I don't know. He accidentally farts and kills her.
Good God.
God.
Answer the primordial. What happens? I'll let Andrew fill this one in, or Avery, since it's still Avery's turn.
No, that's good.
What happens when the queen is assassinated? The primordial
Throws a temper tantrum.
kills. How about rips apart the invaders? And his own people?
And his own people. Yeah.
Yeah, he would destroy everything, friend or foe. You're gonna remove the one thing in his life that had him in control, and now he's just a mindless beast. Figure it out, puppet. Type.
You are just.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't on mute.
You're such a dick. Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Remove the one thing that happened in control. He goes on a rampage. And the scene is this is really the scene. All right. So basically, the take is that you have the child growing to an abnormal size at an exponential rate. It's becoming a problem because he's Hulk size. And then and really this should go on to another scene. The event should be the queen is assassinated. In fact, I probably should just do that. Another event. The queen is assassinated. And then this actually goes underneath that. And I wish I could move it, but I can't. It won't let me move it. So I'm just gonna have to do this really quick. There we go. All right, child growing at an abnormal exponential rate. And that's becoming a problem. The queen is assassinated, and then the primordial goes batshit crazy. That sounds pretty cool. So, Zach, you're up.
All right. So, actually, this is interesting because in the legend, if you read the Legend of Gilgamesh, he has a comrade called Utnapishtim, who's basically a wild man living in the woods, and who's
God bless you.
Yeah, that was me. That was my chair. Okay, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And so basically, the story is that this guy's a wild man. He lives in the woods. He's causing trouble. So according to the legend, the King Gilgamesh sends out she's described as basically a prostitute to basically take him beer and ring his bell for about a week, and through that he is civilized. So
That's great.
and if you look down at the earlier stuff, basically this began as a joke on my part. Basically he got drunk. And yeah. So what we could say is so this one here, the primordial emerges in ancient Sumeria. Can I actually change this because it's kind of redundant at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so instead, the primordial, the King Gilgamesh needs to get the primordial under control. His solution is to get him drunk on the sacred Slee Stack liquor, wine. Is according to this made from the Slee Stack wine, which is made from their own. Well, we have it as mucus, so made from
their own booger liquor,
their own fermented from their own fermented mucus.
It's so nasty.
made from the fermented mucus scraped from the eggs of their young. So it makes sense.
It's even worse.
The idea is that when they're young or born from the eggs, there's goop in there.
Yeah.
And apparently it ferments.
Good job, Zach.
Well, it went from hawking loogies in a pot to way worse.
That's awesome.
Let me edit this real quick. All right, there's more. So he tricks the primordial. I'm not gonna add in the horrors because honestly I think children are gonna be reading this, and so no.
Well,
never mind. He tricks the primordial into drinking the stuff, and it reduces him to a stupor. Let me check at the wing. So I guess this could be the either find what they wanted or pay his price part of it. His wizards then attempt to put a spell on, put a magical collar on him to control him around his neck. To control him. He is
J. Ross says he wants baby mucus. So gross.
All right, so there it is. I think this would actually work its way into the next scene because the primordial apparently, liquor has liquor has a weird effect on him. So I guess I'm not sure if we can make this work with the next scene, where he gets married and maybe like the first dose of booze like subdues him, but the more he drinks, the more he gets hardened to it, so that eventually it just makes him stronger. But anyway, that's what I got.
Awesome.
And by the way, that was not me. That was my chair.
Flint, you gotta beat mucus coming from scraped from the inside of a child's egg. Good luck.
Well, I'm thinking about the king's motivations some. So we have the he wants a child, which I think is a good motivation. But I think it would also be interesting, kind of to introduce a kind of a selfish character flaw to it, where he sees the power that the kid has. Maybe the kingdom is being threatened by enemies, so he wants a child, but he also sees that power and kind of wants that to be under his command, which goes wrong, of course, later on, and maybe that's the character flaw that kind of gets resolved in his arc, is learning that lesson of like, oh, that was a shitty idea.
Right.
So what I'm thinking is,
Go. Oh, no, not there. Sorry.
yeah. Anyways, that's funny.
That was my cat. I apologize.
No, it's funny. Don't worry about it.
He was about to walk on the keyboard.
So I'm gonna add an additional scene right after the king feeding the kid. Just to kind of describe that a little bit. It probably also needs an edit earlier on, if that's all right. But
go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So why does the king take and beat primordial? King and king's relationship is tense. We are having trouble conceiving. And a neighboring kingdom is threatening war. Yeah, so why is the king taking the primordial? The king and queen's relationship is tense because they're having trouble conceiving, and a neighboring kingdom is threatening war, creating additional tension. Like maybe he's not doing enough to prevent war. So the king takes in the child, both wanting to be a father and wanting the child's power for himself.
I like that.
Yeah, and I'll add a little note in where we're describing his need earlier on.
Where's the?
It's under the massive crater.
Oh, I see.
Just below. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Is that your turn, good sir?
That is my turn.
Mr. Drew.
Yeah.
You are up to bat, sir.
Since we're adding new characters and new storylines to the whole bringing him up, I want to introduce a character who's like a stepbrother, like maybe from the Queen's previous marriage, who's a Loki-like character, who's like a brother foil to him. And the way the story ends is he gets so big he just eats him. So we get a familiar trope in the fact that he has a stepbrother who's kind of, mischievous and always getting him into trouble as they're growing up together. But the Primordial's getting so big, and then one day he just gets pissed off at him and just eats him. End of story.
Go for it. Type it up.
I got a cat sitting on my keyboard. I can't type.
You can move the damn cat from your keyboard. It's a cat.
Easier said than done. I speak from experience.
He's having issues. We have a new kitten in the house, and he feels like all of a sudden we're going to ignore him. So he's doing weird things. So
do I need to type this?
Give me a second. I'm moving his ass out of the way. So where am I putting this?
Wherever you want. It sounds like to me it would be a...
Let me find the game board. Hold on. Okay. All right. This is before he gets drunk. This is before the Queen dies. This is before Queen is assassinated. All right. No, I don't want to create a scene. I want to create an event. Introduce Primordials step brother Queen's son from previous marriage. I am not even looking at the keyboard. I don't know. I'm not looking at the screen. I don't know if I'm spelling this right or not. Like a Loki. Sneaky and mischievous. Always a foil. But one day, when the Primordial gets really big and mad at stepbrother, eats him. All right, there you go. Oh, I guess it is dark. It defaulted to dark, so we'll go with that.
Okay.
All right. I contributed.
You are a contributor, yes. Well, awesome. So Zach said something that got me thinking, and this I'm gonna just ask your opinion, guys. Like, does it make sense? So the king and the queen are having trouble conceiving, and that's kind of what we set up. But I actually liked what Zach suggested or was talking about, where maybe it's the king and his prostitute mistress, because the primordial would have to, if the primordial is brought up by the king and queen, then he's royal, right? But he's also alien, and he's kind of a freak because he's like a giant Hulk looking thing. So would it make more sense for him to be in the care of a prostitute? And that might also make it interesting when the king has to put the attack on to try to kill his quote unquote son. Or is that not cool and we should just keep it with the king and queen?
Not a bad idea.
I like the king and queen.
It's not a
Maybe instead of having a queen, maybe he has a harem with like 5 or 6 different people.
The wife number one.
hundreds or even hundreds. I mean,
Oh yeah, there you go.
yeah. So we could say that instead of a harlot, he's one of his lesser wives.
Oh yeah, maybe.
So or concubine.
Okay. I'll just put queen. I'll say concubine or lesser wife. I guess is that. What's the? I don't know the technical.
Probably concubine.
Lesser wife. No, that's what you call a wife.
No, actually, no. And
Nobody heard
Andrew.
that. Nobody
In,
heard that, right? I'm just kidding.
Oh
no,
boy.
actually, in like ancient polygamous cultures, there would actually, the way it worked was, there would be, like with the Ottoman sultans, there would be a chief wife who was
Yep,
the
yep.
queen or the sultan or whatever, and below her would be lesser wives, or concubines, and concubines who were not wives, but has basically to whom the king had access.
There's always like a first wife.
Yeah, and it was either the first wife was like the one he was married and to who was supposed to bear his heir, or she was the one who actually would start out as a lesser wife, and then when she gave birth to a son, because these were all misogynistic hellholes. Anyway, yeah, once she gave birth to a son, she would be promoted. To a son who was a recognized heir, she would basically be promoted. And
Got it.
that's one of the reasons why harems, were actually could be damn dangerous places, because it wasn't like there wasn't any primogeniture. It wasn't always the eldest son who inherited. It would just be the son that the king most liked or the emperor most liked, and that could change. So that's why the history of China and so on is full of harem intrigues.
Awesome. Okay.
Sorry to blather on like that.
No, it's good. It's good. This gives me a good idea. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event to kind of talk about the primordial. So the queen is the concubine. His mother figure is assassinated, and the primordial
Yes.
reacts in sheer horror to his mother being assassinated. That's interesting. I just thought of something. To his mother being assassinated, he goes on a rampage. Killing many, and ultimately killing the king's. Now you said son, Andrew, like he has a brother.
Well, that happens well before this.
Well, see, I think the killing of the brother here would make sense because that would make the king want to kill him.
Yeah, but it's not that funny. It's funny if he eats him.
You are just smoking crack.
No, I'm also thinking that why was the queen mother assassinated? Who's behind that? And whose thought was the best way to get to the king would be to kill the queen and have the primordial character go on a rampage.
Well, so what I was thinking, what popped in my head was that maybe it was the king that kills. Like, why expand the cast into like an invading army or something? Why don't we just have the king kill the concubine, and that sets the primordial up to go in a rage.
Maybe the reason why he kills her is and she's not a concubine; she's his first wife. Maybe the reason he gets mad and kills her is because she has yet to bear him a male heir. And that's what ticks the primordial off, and the primordial goes on a rampage. I mean, you can get deep with it, but you still need to be, a little funny.
Yeah, for sure. Primordial reacts in sheer horror to his mother being assassinated. He goes on a rampage, assassinated by the king. Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds good.
He goes on a rampage, killing many, and ultimately...
can he wear himself out and then go to sleep for 1,000 years or something like that?
Well, that's what
Or
we're
is
getting
that-
to. We're about
yeah.
to get so we were about to discuss like how he returns changed, right? Because there really should be a climactic battle even in this episode. It doesn't have to be like, Lord of the Rings, but there should be like probably between the father and the son, right? I'm just not sure how that's going to work out. So the promoter reacts in sheer horror to his mother being assassinated by the king. He goes on a rampage, killing many of the concubines, right? Well, many of the village.
I could
Take
see the king having like an army that he calls forth the army to protect him, and the primordial just rips through all of them. Like it could be a huge battle, and there's a lot of collateral damage, which includes all the other concubines and any other lesser children he had. And until eventually he gets to the king, and maybe it's a quick death, maybe it's a long drawn out fight. Either way, he's going to spend a lot of energy doing it. Come
He
on,
ultimately confronts the king.
type, puppet boy, type.
You. puppet
Just
boy.
kidding. I'm just kidding. You're doing.
I know. It makes sense. Like it would be. He ultimately confronts the king. Yeah. The primordial reacts in sheer horror to his mother being assassinated by the king. He goes on a rampage, killing many of the army, the concubines, lesser children, and villagers. He ultimately confronts the king. So that's kind of the paying of the price, right? They find the kid and all this. They have a life and all this stuff happens. But once the concubine or mother figure is killed, he goes nuts.
Yep.
And just basically wipes out the entire village. And now there's a confrontation that is brewing. So that takes us to Avery. What's up, J-Raw? Thank you for coming, bud. He's about to J-Raw's going to go get his ass kicked.
Have fun.
Oh man. So we're at the final conflict, right? That he has to put him to sleep.
It seems like there's a battle brewing between that's going to be the king versus him. Yeah, and it could be. There's a lot of ways you could play it, right? Like it could be a battle, or it could be like what Andrew suggested is that the energy he starts trying to fight the father, but it ends up being more like slaps because as he loses his size, and then the king just drags him
maybe the king has a backup plan. Maybe the king has like a pet rancor, just like Boba Fett, and the primordial has to take that thing out too. That could be awesome. Did you see the book of Boba Fett?
God, no.
He had a pet rancor.
Yeah, I don't care.
It was awesome.
It was garbage.
That's what I want for Christmas is a pet rancor.
I'd like to feed you to a rancor.
You already have 2 children.
Yeah, 2 cats, now 3.
Yeah.
So
he just totally forgot about his actual biological children.
Yeah, I know. He did.
Yeah, I got 2 cats. 3.
I did forget about them for half a second.
Jesus.
Neither one of them are as cool as a rancor, man. Come on. Sorry. And yes, I will tell them. I will tell them that to their face.
Well, it's starting to seem like the idea of the drinking contest is now out. The drinking contest that gets him to drink too much of the wine, and that's what puts him to sleep. Or do we break direction and go with the king challenges him as his last move to this drinking contest and hands him the cup of some super spice. They wheel out the giant cup of the super spicy wine that's going to put him down.
That could be kind of fun.
Yeah. totally break direction because it's a little like, oh god, this is building up to something. We put the brakes on it and then go silly again.
I don't know. It feels more like a more serious thing, but maybe there's a way to bake it in. What do you think, Zach? What do you think?
Sorry, I was muted. All right. Well, in Egyptian, sorry to sound like an old know-it-all, but in Egyptian mythology, there's a story of a demon called Sekhmet, who was summoned by the gods to fight evil, but she basically went out of control and started basically destroying the world. So what they did was they filled a pit full of beer, which was dyed red to be the color of blood. And that tricked the demon into basically drinking the beer and basically it got so drunk that it passed out. And with that, they were able to bind the demons. Maybe we try something like that here.
Oh wow, it's almost exactly what I was
That
suggesting.
sounds perfect. I like the color
awesome.
of blood thing too.
Yeah.
So basically they have the slee stack booze that's made from the fermented mucus of their young. They gather it all. And the primordials rampaging. So what they do is they pour it into a pit before him, and he's still a creature of appetite, so he's still hungry and he's still thirsty. So he sees that and he's diverted, basically because again he can't control himself, and he sees this giant pit, and he drinks it, and he drinks it dry, as on his way to slaughter everybody, and then basically getting drunk. Let's see, what do we have in the original thing here? He basically he then gets rip roaring drunk. Basically falls into a stupor, and then the king's wizard or whatever uses his magic to cast him away. But of course, he's caused so much damage to their civilization that it's the last thing they can do before the collapse.
What if the drinking of the fluid isn't a contest, but it's a rite of passage to become the king, and the king, knowing that he's going to be defeated by the primordial, knowing that the primordial will have to engorge on this wine or whatever it is, spikes it ahead of time.
They spike it to make it even stronger.
Spike it with something to like maybe once
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, once he defeats the king, in order to be the king, he's got to complete this ritual, and the king foresaw that happening.
Now, does it make sense though? Because so what we've just accomplished is the primordial has just stomped out all of his wives, his entire army, and most of the village. And so I don't know if the king would the king then be like, oh, dope, you're the king now, bro. Like,
how about we reverse it? How about he finds out the king killed his mother, he kills the king first, and then in order to be the king, he's got to drink this fluid, which the king spiked ahead of time, causing him to go on the ravage rampage, which he ends up killing everybody before he uses up all of his energy, all of his might, and then falls into a stupor. We could actually kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone.
That's kind of cool.
Maybe.
That's pretty dope.
Maybe his goal in killing the king is to become the king, but the king had kind of knew this was going to happen and made it so that he would be taking over a kingdom of the dead, because there'd be nobody left after whatever happened. Maybe that's a little too deep, but it could. I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
Take the idea.
It does mean that we're kind of losing the king as a central character part of the way through the story.
Hey, what's the old saying? The king is dead, long live the king. That's what's happening here.
Maybe he doesn't kill the king. Maybe he almost kills the king and forces the king to watch as he destroys the rest of his village. And the rest of what Andrew was suggesting could come to pass. Where
I don't like that idea. I don't like the idea of the primordial knowingly killing everybody. And I think in a mad rage, or in a drunken stupor, but not I'm going to do it because I'm vindictive and mean and nasty. You got to have an out. You got to have an out there. That's all I'm thinking. I mean, I don't want to be sympathetic to the primordial, but in a way, I am.
No, that makes
because
sense.
somebody killed his mother figure. You know, I can understand him going into a huge bout of rage and killing everybody, or I could see him taking it out and taking out the one person responsible, but then claiming his rightful role as the new king, but being duped by the king, and then going on the rampage and killing everybody. I could
All right.
see it happening, but I don't think it's not it's I don't want to say it's not in him. I just don't. I think
No, it actually you make a good point, because we have from like last week, we kind of the group kind of came up with a concept that there might be a redemption arc for the primordial as a bigger,
Fantastic.
better, right?
Fantastic. Yes, I
right?
like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
So let's do this. Andrew, you give me some clues and I'll just write. It sounds like there's a few events, but I'm willing, if the group is willing to give it to you, I kind of feel like there's, at least we can stub it out and then we can kind of flesh it out.
Well, I think the whole upbringing is an entire story of its own. You've got elements of Conan, you got elements of Thor and Loki, you've got elements of just fun and frivolity and just a lot of interesting things there. But when it comes to the resolution of this particular story, I like the Macbethian king backstabbing, and Macbeth, that had more to do with sleeping with his mother, but there was something else. Never mind. I was just thinking kings and queens, but
so this sounds great. So let's get it on. Let's get it on paper, digital paper. So I'm going to create an event. Feed it to me, and I will be your type monkey.
Are we skipping the whole raising and growing and becoming?
Yeah, well, we kind of have a montage.
We kind of know what that is. Okay.
We kind of have a montage of events. And we'll put some stuff in there. I think that's something that we can flesh out later. I think the resolution that we're coming up with is strong enough that we should get it down before we forget or move on.
Well, I think the reason why the king kills the first wife, who is the motherly figure for the primordial, is because she is yet to produce a male heir, and all the other second and third wives have produced male heirs. One of which he eats. Is the Loki character that he eats, and the king knows that that's going to cause the primordial to go into a rage and challenge him for the throne. Maybe that's his whole entire goal, is to find a way to get the primordial to be the king, to take over as the king, but then to also screw him at the same time. I don't know. If I was the king and I'd be pissed at my first wife enough to kill her, knowing that she's the motherly figure for the primordial, who is now this gigantic hulking creature.
Oh, no. Okay. So he goes and he tries to kill he kills the concubine, the mother figure, right?
I hate the idea of a concubine, but okay, keep going.
Or whatever, the queen, it doesn't matter. We can figure that out later.
First wife.
The first wife, whatever you want to call it. He kills the first wife. And
he drinks the stuff that makes him king and makes him go crazy, and that's the reason why he does it.
Well, so what I was thinking is that maybe the king has had enough, and so goes to kill the first wife and creates a concoction of blood and liquor or something to give to the primordial, right? To kill the primordial. So he's attempting to kill the primordial and kills the first wife / whatever. And the primordial doesn't die. Instead, it drives him mad, and he's forced to watch his mother figure be murdered, which drives him into a rage, which then sets up him wiping out the rest of the village. And maybe maybe that's the end. Maybe what happens is that the primordial wipes out the army, the other wives, the villagers, and it's literally the end shots are really just the primordial staring down at the king who has nobody and nothing left, and the primordial just goes back to the cave, or goes back to the crater,
like hibernates or something.
Yeah.
It just
And now
goes
and the
to-
cave and
goes
the
to-
king is
goes
just
to
left
sleep.
there in this fucking wasteland.
which is
Okay.
nothing but dead bodies all around him and
That's rad.
Yeah.
pools of blood, and the primordial walks away just stomping
Yeah.
through the pools of blood. And oh yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
All this shouldn't be told at once, because we need to have a little bit of the unreliable narrator. Because when it's told in the story, you don't. The primordial needs to be seen purely as an evil.
Mm.
So there needs to be holes in this when it's first told.
Oh yeah, the simple fact that he murders everybody is the story of a villain. The beginning of a villain. But there's so much more involved in it. The death of his mother, the rage,
Exactly.
all that stuff justifies it in
But
a way.
as he's first introduced, all the sympathetic elements need to be left out. You need a little
Right.
bit of that unreliable narrator.
Yeah, have him killing his own brother
Mhm.
at some point, and all these other things that are horrific things to the story. But in all honesty, oops, it was a mistake.
It's not. It's either a mistake. It's not the whole truth,
Right.
or it's just a fat out fabrication, or lost the time. It's one of the things I like. It's one of the things I like in Elder Scrolls is when they do it right. Sometimes they just do it to cover up mistakes.
Right. I'm liking it. Did you guys have you ever read the what was the name of the guy that did the art for it? I'm thinking of it's that one guy that shoot. It was the story of Thanos from when he was a kid to how he became Thanos. I don't know if who was the artist? Oh crap. Oh well, I see a lot of images from this in that story, where he was like a really weak kid, and he was tortured and teased and picked on, and he became this huge Goliath of a monster. I kind of imagine the primordial being the same way, but the primordial is like Godzilla compared to Thanos, in my mind. Am I on mute? Anybody hear me?
Oh, I hear you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just playing.
I'm just listening.
All right, let's see what this sounds like. So, the primordial reacts in sheer horror to his mother being assassinated by the king. He goes on a rampage. So I added he attempts to he attempts to kill the primordial with a blood
Liquor.
with it blood and
Yeah.
alcohol. What was it?
Fermentation, something. Yeah. And baby saliva.
Yeah, that stuff. We can pull that because we know we have that. So he attempts to kill the primordial with blood fermentation concoction. Primordial doesn't die and is instead forced to watch his mother's brutal death. Then the primordial reacts in sheer horror to his mother being assassinated by the king. He goes on a rampage, killing many of the army, concubines, or I should say all, like just all. Killing all. The concubines, lesser children, and villagers. He ultimately confronts the king. The primordial stands towering over the king. They both stand in a wasteland, nothing but smoldering ruins, fire, and dead bodies. The primordial turns and walks away, leaving the king. They are both left with nothing. The primordial returns to the crater and goes into hibernation.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Awesome.
Does that sound cool?
Sounds
So-
cool.
You could almost see the scene where he's like hulking over the king, and the king is like sniveling and
Yeah.
blubbering and on the ground, maybe on his back, and just utterly a pitiful character. And at some point in the story, you see him, and he's a very strong, brave, terrifying creature. You know, he's what you would think a king would look like, and in this moment, he's a child compared to the primordial, and the primordial just walks away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that's devastatingly good writing. I'm glad we came up with it. It's good when artists can see the story in front of them, not just feel it and understand it, but actually see the scenes. It's a good thing. Todd, you've inspired us. Now, if you can just pay us, we'll actually. No, I'm just kidding. We'll give you the idea, but we won't do it till. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Okay, that's dope. So here's what I suggest we do. This is a great story. Here's what I suggest we do. We have about 15 minutes. So I say that, so from here down, we have these little tidbits, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I say we take our turns and we either eliminate or we pull some stuff out and inject them into the events or scenes that we have. Right. So that way, when we're done, we actually have the beginning of the story to the end of the story without these little extra pieces. Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, the next person is, we kind of went off the rails, but that was because we had a really good inspiring moment. So I'm going to say it's definitely Avery's turn.
No, that was my turn.
It was your turn. Okay, fair enough. Zach.
Give me 1 second. I'm right in the middle of a cuddle section with my cat.
Oh my God.
So I have to put him down.
What is with everybody and their cats tonight?
And now he's giving me the big sad eyes.
That needs to be a story in the primordial story. He has to have like a giant cat that he cuddles with, and
Like a kitten that he like tries
A
to
saber-toothed tiger that he uses like a kid.
So I'm looking at this thing here. I think I see a way to connect. This is what I would add. After the primordial returns to the crater and goes into hibernation, the king needs to get the primordial under control. So let's see.
So you can copy paste that into another area, or edit it.
No. Because like I think they could be part of this. Basically the primordial. He basically the king is afraid of the primordial now, and he wants to get him under control. So he makes the wine, and he wakes the primordial up and lures him out. And then the primordial gets drunk, and how about this? So so basically, he lures the primordial out. He lures out the primordial, who's again taking human form, and basically invites him to a celebration to bury the hatchet. And then during the celebration, we do all this stuff here. He gets challenged to a drinking contest by the king's idiot younger brother. Goes on a rampage, gets thrown across, destroys the sleestack kingdom, and then gets thrown halfway across the world. So that could connect. That could connect everything before and with everything after. How does that work for you guys?
I think I understand. That sounds okay to me. What do you guys think?
I just had a thought that maybe when they first find, or when the crater first arrives, the king has this concoction already created that if drunk by somebody will kill them. And he intended to kill the primordial from the very beginning. But because of the fact that he and his wife, his first wife, lost their child, he kind of decides, you know what? Let me take this thing in and see if I can make it into a surrogate child, a replacement. And he always had the original intention of killing the primordial from the very beginning. You know,
That's interesting.
I don't know if that would work, but
He invites the primordial. Sorry, I'm typing, but keep going.
yeah. I just think maybe kind of like I'm getting images of different movies in my head, and I'm thinking of, you know, you find this creature and your first thought is kill it, destroy it, because it's something from the heavens, something that's going to destroy the world, or destroy his world, the king's world. So his plan is to kill it, but then has a change of heart. And then the circle of the life of the story is that in the end, the creature ends up destroying his whole village and killing everybody.
All right, well, how about this? Here's what I got. You know, I'm listening to that.
Okay.
King Gilgamesh needs to get the primordial under control because he's afraid of what will happen when he wakes up again. Of what will happen when he wakes up again. So he invites the primordial to a feast to make peace between them. His solution is to get him drunk on the sacred Sleestack wine made from the fermented mucus created from the eggs of their young, yada, 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 which has been dosed with a powerful poison. He drinks the primordial into drinking the stuff, and the poison paralyzes him. How does that work? That should be dark, actually. Yeah, this is getting dark really fast.
That's great.
And so then what we would have to do is all the stuff after this, you know, we would because this story seems to be getting pretty dark. So what I would suggest is getting rid of a lot of the funny stuff in here, like about how, you know, he's challenged to a drinking contest by the king's idiot younger brother, and you know, basically then
isn't part of the story that when he lands like from a meteor, he comes out as a child?
Yeah.
What if he comes out as the primordial and the king doses him with this stuff and he reverts to a child, and instead of killing it and being done with it, he decides, well, let me take it in and maybe I can make it into something I can use in the future.
All right, so let's take a look at the top.
So King, but this just while you're doing that, the King Gilgamesh needs get the primordial under control. That would actually be moved, right? That would be moved to the primordial reacts in sheer heart, or like right before, right?
Okay.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I guess. Let me find it. Yeah. King Gilgamesh needs to get the primordial under control. Yeah, that would actually move it up to the top, I guess. So we could make that part of the assassination of his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we could do that as you know, after we would move it up to after the child is growing at a normal exponential rate. It becomes a problem. He's Hulk size, and then we could let me show you real quick. How do I move this? Yeah, I can't seem to move it. All right. Where is this? It seems to have disappeared. Here it is. Yeah. So the child is growing at an abnormal exponential rate. It becomes a problem. He's Hulk size. Then King Gilgamesh needs to get the primordial under control. Yada yada yada. So then, yeah, we would do that. And then the poison paralyzes him. So the scene after that, can the primordial in physical form hold his liquor? We would get rid of these scenes here because they don't really work with the way it's going right now. So can the primordial in physical form hold his liquor? Let's delete that. Yep, delete, yes. Let's see. Delete that as well. And then yeah. So yeah, because this story's this is kind of a very serious story now. Aside from the fact that he's drinking booze made from mucus scraped from like Sleestack eggs, which is bizarre, but okay, it works. And yeah, so yes, I know I made it up. So he basically needs to get the primordial under control. He drinks the primordial. He tricks the primordial into drinking the poison. And then why don't we say that as punishment, he kills the first wife. You know, as you know, as a way of demonstrating his power over the primordial. And then, you know, after that, the story proceeds.
That could work too.
That could work.
Maybe when the primordial is being raised by the king and the queen, the king thinks and ultimately he has control over this beast, this creature, and in order to, you know, prove his dominance, he's going to kill the one person that the creature actually loves, which is his mother figure.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of maintaining dominance over him, it has the exact opposite effect.
That'll work.
The king's not very bright, you know.
No,
most of them aren't, but he completely underestimates the anger, the rage that builds inside the primordial. He thinks he's broken. He thinks he's got an upper hand on him, and instead he releases the true beast that's within him. Todd, take notes. This is how great stories are written.
Well, as Zach, are you writing this?
Oh, sorry. No, I thought I was done, but all right.
Oh well, I think. Do you want to? Oh, sorry. I thought you were still typing, so I thought.
No, I'm done. I've already written. I've written what I've written.
Andrew, say that one more time.
Which part?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to you. I'm just kidding. Just
Well, how about Andrew? Why don't we let Andrew take the next turn and just write it down?
Yeah, Andrew, you take the next.
Yeah,
You take
that's
the
a
next
good
turn.
idea.
You take the next turn, and I want you to type it.
I think there should be the bullet points to this story is the meteor lands, this creature comes out of it. The king, in order to try to subdue the creature, offers him this liquor to docile him. And instead of
you gotta make me
hold on, I'm just going over the story in my head.
Okay.
So hold on. Whether or not it works, you guys can let me know. But this is how I imagine it happening. They kind of tries to, instead of trying to take on the primordial, they offer him this liquor, and the idea is they're hoping that it will kill the primordial. But instead, the primordial reverts to a childlike state. And then at that point, the king knows, I can kill this creature and be done with it. But then he thinks, wait a minute, let me see if I can use this creature. So he takes it in as like a adoptive son. He gives it over to his first wife, the one who recently lost a child and has yet to be able to conceive. And she becomes responsible for his upbringing. And it's very difficult. It's very hard. But as he grows, he starts to be, not only does he become this massive creature like he had been when he came out of the meteor, but he's even bigger now. He's even bigger. He's got so much potential to him. And then in a fit of rage, the king, in an attempt to show the primordial that he is dominant over him, he murders his own wife. That infuriates the primordial. The primordial goes on a murderous rampage, kills everybody except the king, leaves him in a wasteland of dead bodies and piles of blood, and then goes back to the meteor thing to hibernate, and the king is left with nothing, which is exactly what he was going to get at the very beginning of the story, but it came full circle in the end, and exactly what he was trying to prevent is exactly what happens. Now, all these are like the major storyline bullet points, but there's so much stuff that we can interject in each step of this story. The whole idea of the fermentation of the baby eggs stuff, that's fantastic in that area. The whole idea of the stepbrother who he ends up eating is another area that can be put in. There's all these other steps involved, and I know that's what we're trying to do here, write this all out, but in my mind, that's what this story can be.
Yeah.
So
I think
I
that's
think
dope.
that works. Yeah.
I mean, it incorporates everything. It incorporates trying to get him drunk, but the reason he's trying to get him drunk is in order to kill him. But it doesn't have that effect. It actually reverts into a childlike form, which is insane. But that's such a great idea. And at that point, he thinks this is the time to kill him. This is the time that he's weakest. But instead, he says, "Let me take advantage of this instance. Let me take advantage of this opportunity and make this creature my own." And and of course it backfires on him, and what he fears is exactly what he gets. I don't know. I think that's a fantastic story, and we can still fill in a lot of those details, some of the silly stuff, some of the
Yep.
fun stuff, some of the gross stuff. It can still all be there,
No, I think that's great. I think that absolutely works.
and I'm not typing any of that shit out.
Well, fortunately, we're recording this.
Oh,
so.
okay. Yeah.
So I will go back and I will fill that in after the call.
I think the overall story arc is freaking fantastic. I am loving the primordial, but like Avery said, if you show this story at certain points, he is nothing but a monster, a horrible creature that destroys and kills. But what we know, because we know the whole story,
Right.
there's so much more depth to him, to not only his character, but his life and what has happened to him. And it's not sympathetic, but it's understandable. I truly think the relationship between him and the first wife is a very, very strong bond. And I think we should expand on that in some part of the story, because I think that's the key to the whole story, is that relationship. I think she's a ball buster. I think she's a harsh, person that doesn't give him any leeway whatsoever. But there's an attachment, there's love, there's caring, but there's also harsh reality and harsh upbringing. And there's so many different things you can explore on this. This is a whole graphic novel all of its own. This whole story.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah. So, all right, I'm dropping the mic. Peace out.
Well, good news for us is that it's actually 10:30. So we mission accomplished. I think
I filibustered just enough, huh?
I think Andrew filibustered just enough. So, but
Should run for office.
but I think our combined efforts, combined with chattingness, we've come up with a pretty cool first episode. That sounds like it works pretty well, doesn't it? Now, do we all feel like before? So here's what I propose. First, do we agree that is a pretty good story episode for right now? We can always change it for episode 1, Blood and Metal.
I think that's
think
pretty rad.
I think it definitely can be.
I would chop this up and tell it in pieces amidst other things, and not give, because your first introduction, again, you want to use the, as I was saying, the unreliable narrator, where you don't get the whole story at first. You don't get all this in the first episode. You get just the parts that makes the primordial look like a monster.
Right.
To be feared, he is the end of the world.
Right. Like a flash, like basically like, well, we could do in the next episode. Like, are you sure? Well, we have this thing about nightmares, and are you sure? So maybe the nightmares are just this primordial like beast shredding like these ancient people and just killing everybody, right?
Sure.
Or just, you don't even have to show the beast. It's just like carnage, just people getting slaughtered everywhere.
Or maybe what we could do is, maybe as a meta framing device, we open the scene with an archaeologist, excavating Gilgamesh's tomb.
Hieroglyphics of it. Yeah.
And basically it's it will be like an epistolary story. We're seeing it through the eyes of this archaeologist who's reading the script on the side of the wall. Who knows if it's actually true, but that's how it's written.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
would be it. That's a perfect case of unreliable narrator.
You know what? I think this could be the the opening scene. Like if you were talking about a graphic novel, and this would like to be the opening chapter, the way it would start would be an archaeologist finds these hieroglyphics. The hieroglyphics show how a meteor crashed and how this creature destroyed everybody and killed everything, right? And then all of a sudden, in real time or in real, there's something crashing, and this creature is coming out of the ground, and it's like it's happening all over again. And then you actually tell the story as it really happened. You know, so you set up the fact that this has happened before. People are afraid, people are scared. It starts to happen all over again, and you're at the end of the issue, at the end of the chapter, your thought is, oh shit, what happened before is happening all over again. But the truth of the matter is the whole next chapter, the next section. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to set this up. And there was Todd, I don't know if you ever read the comic book Fire Breather.
Oh, I didn't. I heard it was really good. I read a couple things of it, but I didn't actually finish the series.
The original 4-issue limited series, Andy Kuhn did the art, and it was great. And what was so great about the story is each issue ended on a cliffhanger to the story. But when you started the second issue, it totally flipped the script, and it would totally showed you a different side of the story. Because the first issue, just really quick, this kid is the offspring of a human woman and a giant monster, right? And in the first issue, you get to the end of it, and there's like this cowboy military guy that's coming to hunt this kid. And you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be great. And then you find out that actually in the second issue, this guy is like a father figure to him. He's a government agent that is supposed to keep tabs on him and keep an eye on him. If anything ever goes wrong, he's the one responsible for taking the kid down. But in the reality is, he's like his father figure and best friend and guy that watches over him. But when you got done with the first issue, you're like, oh, this guy's ready to kill him, to hunt him down. But the honest truth is, he's not. He is, but he's not. They twisted the script, and they did it with every issue. Every issue ended with you going, I know what's going to happen. And the next issue started with the exact opposite of what you thought was going to happen. It was fantastic. I loved it. I loved it. And it was very typical tropey stuff. Mm-hmm. But every issue they switched the script on you and went a whole nother direction. It was. I
love that. We could make that. We could actually use that as a writing element for sure.
Yep. Whew, filibuster. Now we're late.
No, it's good. It's good, guys. So if we think this first episode so far, just at least what happened in it is good, well, then what I'll do is I'll actually I think Andrew had a great summary, so I'll go back into the audio after this and I'll just write that in the Blood and Metal so that we have it. And then I'll just do some structural things just so we have it, and we'll basically have all of our notes, everything that we wrote, and Blood and Metal, at least from a story structure circle, will be complete, and we can actually move on to Are You Sure in the next one if you'd like.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Cool.
I like it when you do the majority of the work.
Yes, I know you do.
Good deal. Hey, we are the idea men. You're the guy that actually has to write this shit up.
That's right. I'm the monkey.
That's right.
I am the keyboard monkey. I gotcha.
Say ooga booga.
No, that's what. No. Anyway, this was fantastic, guys. How do you guys feel? Satisfied?
Yeah, feeling good.
Yep,
all right.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us on another wonderful episode of Lore Games. We hope you enjoy this behind the scenes look. It's chaotic, it's fun, it's weird, but hopefully it provides you some value to show you how this stuff actually comes together. I know it's certainly fun for us. So again, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for showing up, showing out, coming up. And what we're going to do is we'll pop over into Discord. I'm sure there'll be lore games. I'm sure lore games. I'm sure there'll be after party games, and we'll go hang out. So with that, Thank you guys so much. I love you all, and we'll see you next time.